then you kind of lose who you are. If your job is to kind of freely point out that these people suck and you find out that maybe they don't, you might lose an audience. You might you might end up like if you were going and I've seen it on your show when you veer.
I've lost audience. Before many times, and I don't care. I care because it'd be great if it didn't happen.
Get ready, because things got heated on Bill Maher's podcast, Club Random, in a clash you've got to hear to believe. Imagine Bill Maher, known for his sharp takes, going head-to-head with Greg Gutfeld, the king of provocation, as they dive into the hot-button issues of woke culture and cancel culture. It was like tossing a lit match into a powder keg. Total chaos. Maher argued that woke culture might have crossed a line, creating an environment where people are too afraid to speak their minds. The conversation was fiery, unfiltered, and packed with the kind of tension that keeps you glued to your seat. If you're into debates that spark real controversy, this one's a must-watch.
When you're offensive, if you just waited 10 seconds, you would.
Greg Gutfeld isn't holding back, calling out the hypocrisy and sham of political correctness. Brace yourself, this is one clash you don't want to miss. If you enjoy content that challenges the norm and speaks the truth, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Done? Great. Now let's dive back in. Here's how it all went down. Bill Maher and Greg Gutfeld, two giants in the world of political commentary, sat down for what was supposed to be just another episode of Club Random. But this wasn't any ordinary episode. No, this quickly turned into an all-out debate, a showdown where beliefs and authenticity were on full display. The focal point of their intense exchange, woke culture and its impact on freedom of expression. Maher kicked things off by sharing a concern many are hesitant to voice. He's worried about alienating his audience if he doesn't align with every progressive idea floating around today. It's like walking on a tightrope, right? Say the wrong thing and boom, you're canceled.
I was guilty of that though. Like in the beginning, it's when somebody.
Just like that, Gutfeld wasn't having any of it. To him, the fear of backlash from an audience is nothing more than a trap that needs to be shattered. He practically challenged Maher, insisting that authenticity should always take precedence over popularity. For Gutfeld, the woke mob isn't truly about genuine outrage. It's all about flexing power, purely performative. They're like puppeteers pulling the strings on social media, getting people to dance to their tune just for a rush of likes and retweets.
Common sense.
Yeah.
And the fireworks. They kept coming. They dove straight into the topic of censorship in comedy, an area they both know inside and out. Gutfeld wasted no time slamming the restrictions on humor, comparing it to cutting off the very essence of what makes comedy funny. It's like being back in kindergarten, except now the playground is Twitter, and everyone's a self-appointed vigilante armed with hashtags. What's fascinating, though, is how Bill Maher wrestled with his own contradictions during the conversation. Known for his sharp wit and fearless opinions, Maher's internal conflict became clear as he reflected on the shifting tides in comedy and free speech.
That you disagree with, when you said it was like you take them at their worst intentions, not their best. Everything that's going on right now in our lives is based on people taking the worst intention.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't matter if you're a conservative and you don't like liberals, you will take the worst example of a liberal. And a liberal will take the worst example of a conservative, and they both are almost identical. Like the squad is the same as whoever you want to call on the conservative side. They're exactly the same.
There is a lot of that.
Yeah. And and the thing is, it's really funny when I make fun of like Ilhan Omar, and then she'll say something that I agree with. And I'm like
what?
She was pretty good. That's a good question. There were two things that she said. She was pissed off about what was going on in Palestine. Not Palestine, but Palestine.
Oh.
And, yeah.
I'm glad
it wasn't Palestine.
I was.
But she was talking about but there were some other things that she said that I thought were like, wow, that's pretty libertarian. Because generally, she's kind of scary. But like, maybe she's not as bad as I think she is. But what happens if you start feeling that way about everybody? Then you kind of lose who you are.
Here he was, openly admitting that public perception does weigh on him. Maher shared with Gutfeld how the way his audience views him can often leave him feeling confused and uncertain. You know, Maher admitted how just saying something unexpected could instantly have people labeling him as a conservative, and that's where Gutfeld came in, completely unfazed. He drove home his point, arguing that Maher's own fear is only fueling the culture he criticizes. By tiptoeing around issues, Maher, in Gutfeld's view, ends up validating the very outrage he's tired of. It's a twisted cycle, and Gutfeld wasn't shy about calling Maher out for what he saw as inconsistency. But let's dig deeper. For Gutfeld, the problem isn't just about comedy or cancel culture. It's about societal norms being forced down people's throats under the guise of moral righteousness. He painted a picture of a society losing its backbone, caving to online mobs instead of standing firm for truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Maher's inner struggle was clear in these moments. Here's a man who spent decades shattering boundaries, now caught in a culture that seems intent on building walls, social cages if you will, and yet he knows the stakes. He remarked on how quickly audiences can turn, recalling times when his own show lost viewers for stepping outside the acceptable lines. He's been there before, and he admitted that taking risks with his audience isn't something he wants to keep doing. Meanwhile, Gutfeld was firm in his stance. Authenticity cannot be sacrificed to appease what he sees as manufactured outrage. For him, the issue isn't about offending anyone, it's about pretending that offense is always genuine. Giving into that, he argued, only fuels a culture of fear and conformity. As their conversation unfolded, the contrast between these two was unmistakable. Maher seemed cautious, even conflicted at times, trying to navigate a world where he's torn between truth and the weight of audience expectations. Gutfeld, on the other hand, was all about bulldozing through with unapologetic honesty. In his eyes, societal norms are chaining us, making us obsess over intentions and turning everything into something worse than it actually is. Just when you thought things couldn't get more intense, they veered into politics. Maher struggled to balance his critiques of both the left and the right, but Gutfeld found the irony in how some people will defend the indefensible just to stay on the right side of the woke-approved line. It was a clash of ideologies, wrapped in humor, sarcasm, and hard truths. Some might say Gutfeld was taking aim and hitting all the pressure points that made Maher squirm, or maybe it was just two outspoken men dissecting the world's absurdities. Either way, their fiery exchange left no stone unturned and no topic off limits. It was a conversation that many needed to hear, a reminder that freedom of speech isn't just about the words we use, but the courage to speak them no matter who's listening. So what do you think? Did Gutfeld hit the mark, or is Maher right to be cautious? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and let's get the conversation started.